Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the next episode in the Ultimate Track Guide series. If you haven't checked out the rest of the series so far, some of the other circuits that we've been going around in GT3 and GT4, I urge you to hit that subscribe button, go and check out the rest of the playlist and see what you can pick up from some of the other circuits. Today, as you can see, we're at Kyalami, we're in South Africa. Really super technical track this. I can't stress enough how difficult it is to really get consistent at this track and start to show some good pace around here. And while I'm talking about that, I wanted to just talk a little bit about this website that I've sort of partnered with, Setsbase it's called. It's a place where, you know, it's a one-stop shop for getting setups where creators can submit their own setups. You can search for different cars and tracks, and you know, obviously we're in the Audi going around Kyalami at the minute, so it's as simple as click on the Audi R8 and there you go. You can add the setup to the basket. You can obviously donate to me and the other creators on the site. It's super easy, all through PayPal, and if you want as well, if you're searching for a particular person, me or anyone else, you can, you know, put their name in and search them and see all the setups that you've got there. So obviously you've got this Kyalami one, a couple of McLaren setups that I'll be doing on the GT4 League for Actual Vision on a Sunday evening. So it's super simple to submit a setup. Just name, you plug in your details, upload the setup and a replay of it, and I'll go from there. So if you haven't seen that website already, then go check it out, and you know, if you want to donate to the cause, then do so, but you know, obviously don't feel obliged to do that at all. So let's jump in. Go down the main straight. We're coming into one of the biggest braking zones on the track, you know, one of two really hard braking zones, and we're looking out for the 100-meter board on the right hand side. Okay, so we're actually going to brake slightly after this, just where the red block is there in this hot lamp conditions, but in most race conditions you'll be braking on that 100-meter board. Obviously it differs between different cars. You're going to come down the gears just nice and gentle without too much aggression, as that's going to unsettle the car under the heavy braking, and you're going to just come towards the middle of the track slowly, as you don't gain much time on exit from having that wide entry sort of cut back line. The straight just isn't long enough. It's just another tool to get to the next corner really. Going to apex slightly later than you think you should, and remember to get on the power nice and early here. It is a short straight, but we're using the diff to rotate the back of the car around so we can get over to the middle of the track before back over for the next corner. So run a little bit out wide, back over to the middle. Don't go on the curb on the inside of this. So you can go a little bit. This is probably as far as you want to go, otherwise the car will bump and you'll spin. You'll end up in the wall on the right hand side, especially if it's wet. You're going to be in all sorts of issues here. This one's flat and just all about setting up into this awkward left-hander. Very difficult to pinpoint a braking point for you here, so I've just paused it here, so it's where I started to brake, and just have a look around and get a feel for where you are. Notice that I'm keeping some throttle on to stabilise the back of the car as well through this really tricky one. Couple of different lines here as well, either really early over the right hand side of the curb on the inside, or somewhere in the middle, or you can go out wide and cut back in. So I tend to prefer that middle line where you take a bit of the curb. Remember not to go too far over the right hand side, because you will go over the bump and there'll be a few issues. So let's look at that again, remembering that we're braking on the 100-meter board. We're being nice and smooth down the gears. We're going to come over to the middle of the track before we actually get into the apex of corner. It's not a traditional sort of hairpin line this. You can see I'm almost taking a super tight line in there. Get the nose in early on the power, flat through this right-hander to set us up for one of the three lines going into this awkward left-hander. I favour the middle one, where it's just sort of in the middle of the road, and which is different from a lot of other people. I think it's worth really looking at that, especially the third corner, because that's the difficult one in this first section. Looking at the line from above, because you've got a lot of time to think about this first one. And obviously if you do like the video, then click like before we really get into the technical middle section. You can see how shallow I am into that first corner. Early on the power, bring the car just over to the middle of the track, not even the middle. You can get away with being quite shallow through there, as long as you get over to the right hand side. You can see it's slightly tighter than the rubber markings there. There's a bump just about now. Do avoid that, and you're in with a tiny little bit of a straight up the hill into this very, very, very fast right-hander. It's all about timing on this one. It's very difficult to judge the turning point and how the car will react, especially if you aren't in the setup that you've designed or you're comfortable with. So I've paused it here just as I'm starting to turn in, really. And the key with this one is to maintain as much speed as possible through this apex. You can actually use the curb on the inside, just this kink on the curb, to measure how you're doing in the corner. Do not go on the grass on the inside, as it will force you to understeer wide. And a lot of cars, including this one, have a fair amount of preload differential sort of built into the setup, so it's quite easy to adjust the car mid-corner on the throttle through these fast ones. So make sure you do that. On the power, up into 4th gear, you can run a little bit wide and straight over to the right-hand side of the track, looking to brake after this 50-meter board. It seems like way too late to brake, but the car just seems to grip really nicely through here. There's a large bump on the curb on the inside, so depending on your car, how it's set up, what your bump and rebound damping is, it's key to get on the power early. In this Audi, I'll take a bit of curb, but not too much. You can definitely get away with a bit more if you can keep the steering straight on the exit. And it's, as I said, super early on the power. A short squirt into a very technical, fast chicane. Brake and start turning at the beginning of this curb. So again, it's all about the setup here and how comfortable you are in this setup. So you're going to need to adjust the differential so you can get away with that turning and braking at the same time. It's imperative that you don't go on the curb too much on the inside, as you will spin. Okay, I can't stress that enough. You'll be able to see the black marks as we go through the chicane here. Really good indicator of how far you can go over the curbs. I'll probably take just a touch too much, especially through the first half of that, so a little bit wider is good. And if you've set the car up nicely, and not in the setup but in the way that you've taken this corner, and as soon as you know that the front the car is biting, you'll feel it, and then you can full power from this view here, and the nose should stick. Be careful not to go too wide though. There's a nice bump just there, and you could invalidate your lap. There's absolutely no rest before you're going into this super awkward mystery corner, me and a friend call it. It's extremely difficult where the braking's very hard but super important, and I know that I can't do it consistently, so I'm just trying to give you a couple of ways to be able to do that. There's a Marshall's tower on the left hand side, or you can look for this braking point at the beginning of the curb just as you're coming over that crest. So this is the one that I tend to use. As soon as you can see that on the brakes, nice and hard, come off them gentle, just trail braking into here, or no throttle at all, no inputs at all, just turning. Again, as soon as you sort of feel the nose bite, and that's where the trail braking really helps, you're on the throttle, nice and smooth, sort of 60%, and then back up to 100 straight away, and out to the curb on the right hand side until you're street for a bit of a breather into the final section. So let's look at that again. Super fast through the right hander. Use the kink on the curb to notice where you are and where you can floor it. Over to the right hand side, braking nice and late. Little bit of curb on the inside, make sure you're on the power early, straighten up that steering on the exit, short squirt into this technical chicane, brake and turn on the curb. Don't use too much of the inside, there's probably a bit too much. As soon as you feel it bite, floor it, not too wide, as you will invalidate your lap and get over that bump. Straight over to the right hand side of the track, up to see your curb over the top of the crest, into first gear. As soon as you feel the nose is starting to grip, floor it, 60%, then floor it, and then you're away down the hill into what is a super difficult final corner. So Kyalami is coming at you thick and fast through here, so it's really important to get a nice rhythm through this middle sector. This fast hander really sets you up. If you can get to grips with that, then you're just going to get a nice rhythm through this section. Nice and early on the power through there. You can run right over the curb. There's a lot of room on the exit there. And again, turn in a little bit later potentially than I did there, so you can set yourself up nicely for the run up this hill. It's quite crucial to get a good exit on that chicane, because although it's a short straight, you're still up to 130 odd miles an hour, so you do need that run up into the chicane. It's also a good opportunity for some overtaking manoeuvres if you catch people off guard. As I said, couple of seconds break into this flat left-hander. Bring the car over to the left-hand side of the track, because you're going to be braking. There's a couple of different markers here, okay? So it depends if the track is rubbered in or not. So you can either look for this 100-meter board, which is just sort of poking its nose out behind the car frame there on the left-hand side, or you can look for the beginning of the rubbered area, which is a good indication of where to brake. I like to brake slightly left on the braking sort of markers there, or the rubbered area in the track, just slightly to the left to increase the angle into this right hander. I actually snatch the inside front a little bit there, and you can run all the way over this curbing on the outside. So you first gear through second gear, and you're almost aiming for the end of this curb, as long as you keep your right hand tyres on the red and white curbing there. Really, really difficult one. This is the corner that everyone struggles with, and I can't stress this enough. You must avoid the inside curb at all costs, okay? So I'll pause it here where I'm just dabbing the brake 10% or so to get the weight on the nose, so you get that lovely turn in. And as soon as I come off the brake, I'm back on the power, maybe a slight lift if I don't feel the car's confident enough. And as I mentioned earlier, this car has quite a lot of preload diff, so you need to use it to turn the back end of the car, okay? You run all the way out to the left-hand side of this curb here again, as long as your right wheels are on the red and white curbing, and straight up back across to the right-hand side of the track, looking for this 50-metre board, usually slightly before or on the 50 metres. I get a little bit nervous into this final corner, as it's been quite a good lap so far, so I brake nice and sharp. You can actually go over the curb more on the inside, first or second gear through here, nice and early in the throttle. There's a lot of runoff on the outside, and away we go for another lap. Like I said, super technical, really, really difficult to get right. So let's just look at that final section again. Braking slightly to the left of the rubbered in marking to just increase that angle a bit more. First gear 3/4 power, and then full power as soon as you can see the curb on the outside. Run nice and wide. Just after the curb begins, you're turning in, keeping that momentum. It's all about speed carried through there into this final section, down into first or second gear on the power as early as you can. Straighten that steering, because you've got a lot of runoff, and obviously you need that momentum going on to the start-finish straight. I think it's worth looking at that one from above as well. So this one actually, you know, in the wet it's quite difficult, but in the dry it's a bit of a nothing corner, as long as you bear in mind that you're bringing the car over to the left-hand side of the track. It's quite a late apex, as you can see there. You're trying to get as much momentum as possible into this little short straight, to carry as much speed into this right-hander. Obviously do not go on the curb on the inside, as you will end up basically smashing into the pit lane or something like that. And again, a little bit later apex, you can go over the curb on the inside as well into the final corner. So we've broken the lap down. Let's have a look at it in full, remembering some of the things that we've talked about. And again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, I do urge you to do so. We're going to be breaking down a lot more laps. There's still loads of track guys yet to do in a lot of different cars, and obviously we're racing every weekend and loads of league racing, so do subscribe to the channel, and you know, that's very much appreciated. And go and grab the setup as well from Setsbase.com. The link will be in the description below. Super difficult first section, then imperative you get a good run up this hill from taking that sort of medium line. Turn in just at the end of the sort of double curve there. Use that kink as a little reminder of where you are. Over to the right hand side, brake nice and late all the way over to the right hand side curb, and cut back in for a slightly late apex on the power nice and early, remembering that you need to trust your car through this left right, turning in slightly later than I did there. As soon as you feel the front end bite, then floor it. Don't go too wide on the left hand side there. Up this hill, good overtaking opportunity. It's nice and wide into here, but it does close into the apex here. As soon as you feel the front bite on the power, sort of 60%, and then full as soon as you feel that grip flow all the way down the hill. You can run the car right out wide to the right hand side. Bit of a brake, bring the car over to the left hand side of the track here. Nice and gentle on the braking, like we did in the first corner. You don't want to unsettle the car too much into there, because if you end up oversteering it, it is time to go. Turn in a little bit later than you think you should, just to avoid that curb on the inside. Good speed on the exit, and then see if you can take a little bit more curb than I did through that left hander, and away you go for another lap. So guys, like I said, if you haven't subscribed already, then I urge you to do so. Let's look at the lap from above. We're going to have loads more track guides and a lot of league racing to do, so there's going to be some great content coming out in the coming months. So do subscribe, it helps the channel, and obviously if you do want to donate to some of the setups, go grab them from Setsbase, and it's a really good website. It's super easy to use, and I'll sort of leave it there for you. I'll let you watch the rest of this lap from above to see if you can gain any pointers. Until next time guys, thanks for joining in. I'll see you then.